Hi, in tonight's Unity tutorial video, I'm going to try something a little different. I have an assistant with me here that's going to
I
sit
have
down
an
with me.
assistant now.
Yeah, or I don't know what to call you. And
Daughter.
what I'm going to do, it's my daughter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make believe, well, I am. I'm going to explain to her how to make the simplest mesh in Unity. The simplest mesh would be a triangle, and I'm gonna be talking to her, and you guys could just listen. You ready, Grace?
Okay.
All right. So first off, what I got here is the A project, which is gonna show us what we're gonna do in the end of this tutorial. So I just have a scene with a camera and a light. This is a default 3D scene. And over here is a mesh, which is basically an empty game object that I added to the scene, okay? And to that I added a mesh filter component right here, you see, Grace? And I added a mesh renderer component. And then here's the script I added.
Let's
And
control the mesh.
right, and when I press play, it's gonna make the simplest mesh. The simplest mesh is one triangle, and
Pikachu's
it'll make
face
a,
got cut off.
yeah, it got cut off because I only have a triangle. So this is what we're going to learn how to do. So we're going to start over from scratch. All right. So first things first is I'll close this out and we'll make a new Unity project so we could see how to do it from scratch. So I'm going to open up my Unity hub. This is where, you start a new project here from the hub. That's where I'm starting from it.
Can I see your screen?
You want to see my screen?
No, can they see your screen?
Yeah, they could see this screen right here.
Just the moving object.
Yeah, they don't see the other screen up on the top.
See your background.
They see the background.
Oh yeah, it's a nice
Yeah.
background, guys. Don't you
All
agree?
right, it's a nice background. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press new. So this is starting from scratch, a brand new project, and I'll just call it this project. I'll just call it the simplest mesh. And just so you guys know, this is Unity 2019.1 with the latest Unity hub. That's why the screen looks like this. So I'm picking a 3D project. Simplest mesh is what I'm gonna call it. I'll say create, and Unity is gonna do its thing, and it's gonna create the project. Okay, Unity is opened up with a brand new 3D project. And this is the brand new 3D project. There's nothing in there. So the first thing I'm going to do is I did have a picture of Pikachu, remember?
Mm.
So that picture of Pikachu, I just found it online. So I'm just going to drag and drop the picture of Pikachu into my assets window.
He has been captured.
He's been captured. I got you, Pikachu. And then I'm going to add a new material, create material, so that, and I'll call this one Pika Pika, or just Pika. And then over here is the inspector showing the material. I'm going to drag and drop the Pika picture right here in the albedo. And then you see here,
Oh,
there's Pika.
oh, that's nice.
It's cool, right? It's a sphere of Pika, and I can make him shinier if I wanted to. I could look how I can make it shiny. See, Grace?
I'm even cuter now. The shiny
Shiny
anime
Erdo.
shimmers
Yeah.
prove my cuteness.
All right, so I got that material. That's what I'm going to use on my triangle mesh. And now for the triangle mesh, I'm just going to add an empty game object. See, create empty. There's nothing there. And then I'm going to add. Let me just delete. I'm going to add a mesh filter first, which is right here under mesh. And then I'm going to add. Yeah, I got some mesh things. Then I'm going to add a mesh renderer. And on the renderer over here, you see there's the materials thing. This is where I could add the Pika material that we just made. Boom.
The Pika ore.
The Pika ore. And then over here, I'm going to add a new script, which, what we're going to call the script? I don't know. We're going to call it, I don't know, mesh. It's mesh. We're very creative. We're just going to call it mesh. Where'd it go?
It's right there. Oh, no,
No, that's mesh collider, mesh renderer. Oh, I added a mesh collider by accident. Let me just remove that and let me add my. Oh, you know what? Because I said, bleh. Okay, just delete. I gotta scroll down. No, look, I just have to scroll down to here. New script, and now I give it the name Mesh. What are you gonna call it? Pika?
No, Meshchu.
Meshchu?
It's supposed to be Pikachu. So.
Okay, Meshchu. We'll call it Meshchu, and then we'll press create. So now here's the Meshchu script. I'm gonna double click on it to open it in Visual Studio. And here it is. These things grayed out. We don't need them. When the color's gray on these using statements, that means nothing's using them yet. But I know we're not going to use it. Yeah.
Because he's a coder.
Yo, let me just gut this out. So first things first, I'm gonna start writing this script, and I'm gonna think, what do I gotta put in this script? Don't tell them I have this thing up here, okay?
You just roasted it.
I just sold you, but don't tell them anything. All right, so I'm gonna do this. Let's start typing the script. First thing, I want to have a variable inside my script that points to the mesh object from my game object, and I'll say that's null. And then I want to have, oh, I like putting the publics in front. When you make a mesh, you need three kind of arrays. You need a vertice array. So here I'll just do a list um, of vector 3 points. Oh, look, it didn't know what list was. All right, so I'm gonna have to use a using statement. So up here, I'll just go using system dot collections dot generic, and that will allow me to use a list object. Okay, Grace?
Yes. Okay.
Yes. All right. So now I could just type public list vector 3 for the vertices, and I'll call this array vertices. And that will just equal a new list. Then another list I'll have here is the list for the triangles, where I say all the points that make a triangle, and that's going to be an int, and I'll call this one triangles.
Is this sphere gonna become a?
That sphere is a material. It shows like a sphere
Okay.
because it's just trying to show you what it would look like if you put it on a ball.
Okay.
But if I
That's
put it,
what you want.
right, if I put the material on something flat, it's not going to look like a sphere. It'll just look like a picture,
Yeah.
you know. So
But like, because you're gonna turn it into a triangle, is it gonna be like?
vector 2.
And be like the triangles cut out the sphere, and then you'll only have that.
Yeah, and I'll show you because we could play around with the way we do the UV mapping. That says how to draw the picture on our mesh. Okay. All right, so we got three publics, one private, and now we need let's start off with the function that's going to actually make the mesh for us, right? So I'll call this a public function, mesh, and what this function is going to do is it's going to get us the mesh object from, Unity. So the mesh object in Unity, that's going to be this guy right here, the mesh filter mesh thing right here. And you see how it says none right now, and there's no mesh. So we'll make it be something in the code. So right here in this get mesh function, first let's get a pointer to the mesh filter, because as you can see here, the component that has the mesh is the mesh filter, right? So I'll just get a pointer to that. So I'll say mesh filter, and I'll just call it mesh filter variable equals this dot get component. And what kind of component? The mesh filter component from our object. Boom. All right, now I have the mesh filter object. So, and then let's just hold a variable for the mesh. And here, I'll just call it m equals null. Yeah, and then and the n with the m, and then the n what this is gonna do, it's gonna return the mesh. Okay, what this function does is get mesh and it returns the mesh. So first, I have to see if the person using this program, if they're in the editor mode like this, or if they press the play button, because I have to get the mesh a different way if it's the play button or if it's the editor.
The
Yeah,
speaker thingy is on your headphones, so I kind of wonder if anyone can hear me.
I hope they could,
Hello.
because there's been times when the dogs are barking and people hear the dogs barking. All right, so I do the check over here to see if I'm in the editor. Application is editor, and this will tell me if the application is running in the editor still. And if I'm in the editor, then the mesh is going to equal mesh filter dot blah 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 shared mesh. There it is, shared mesh. And then if mesh equals null, then mesh equals no, I'll say then mesh. First, I'll give it a new mesh. Shared mesh equals new mesh. And then, oh, let me put the little brackets here. And then put this inside the brackets. Boop, boop, boop. Cut and paste. And then I'll set the mesh equal to that. mesh filter dot shared mesh. Okay, that's if it's so if it's in the editor mode, it's going to get the mesh over here.
Of meshy
It's going to use shared,
manipulation.
yeah, mesh manipulation. It's going to use shared mesh.
Meshy manipulation.
Messy manipulation, people. And then otherwise, if it's not in the editor, that means I press the play button, right? So now I'll get the mesh this way. It's almost the same thing, so I'm just gonna copy this part so I don't have to type it over again, and I'll just change the parts that'll be different. So first I'll try to get the mesh filter mesh, okay? And then if that is null, then I'll say mesh filter that the mesh filter mesh equals a new mesh, and then this equals the mesh.
Oh, so you get this
Oh, you know what I did? I called it M. I called it M. So this has got to be a M, and this has got to be a M, an M,
you didn't do it.
an M. What? M. Because right here
What if you, why
it's a
didn't you just
M.
change that one to mesh instead?
You know what it was like? It was when I was typing the word mesh, it thought it was the mesh from up here, you know, from the class. That's how come it
Class
didn't.
mesh.
Yeah, but this mesh is inside the function, this M. See all the highlights, and then after the function finishes, it returns M.
Also, I'm pretty sure they spelled Pika with a K, but you know, I hope nobody gets triggered in your comments.
Yeah, I hope they don't get so picky.
Hey!
Pick a peaky. All right, so this will get the mesh from our scene, and then the next, I guess we want to actually make the function that makes the vertices and everything, makes the points to make the mesh. So we'll make that function. We'll call it public void. It's not going to return anything. What should we call it?
Oh,
Make triangle. Make triangle.
Triangle.
Yeah, because it's going to make a triangle mesh, so I'll call it make triangle. Right, so that means that it's going to take here this vertices array, the vertices, and it's going to start adding the points. So the first point we add new vector 3. Let's say the first point is at, oh, let's see, let's look at this thing. It's right here at 0, 0, 0. See this little grid? We're going to have it, yeah, it'll be in the little corner, 0, 0, 0. That's the first point. And then the second point, let's say it's going to be up here, 0, 1. It's going up.
It looks like it's going into the negatives according to those arrows.
Yeah. Oh man, you're right. Let me point this the right way. Look, because this is X and this is Z.
I mean, you could just...
No, but I should turn this around. Let me hold down the Alt key in the mouse and turn this so that you see Z's going forward and this is X. So here's 0, 0, and then Z is gonna go. This is 0, 0. This is 0, 1. So this next point is gonna be new vector 3. Remember geometry? Did you have to do this in geometry?
Definitely not.
You didn't have to make meshes in geometry?
No.
Oh no.
I was not made to do such things.
And then for the third point, because how many points do you need in a triangle? 15!
Really?
No,
I thought it was 3.
It's 3. I'm just kidding. I'm testing you all. Then the third point, after the triangle comes up here, it's going to come down here. So this is X is a 1 and Z is a 0. So X is a 1 and Z is a 0. Boom, boom. Okay? So boom, 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 boom. I got my 3 vertices. Now what else do I need? I said after I make the points, the vertices, I need the triangles. The triangles just say, how do you connect the points to make a triangle? So that is my triangles array. And I'll say add. Yeah, it's pretty good. So this is the first point, 0, 0, 0. So that's at index 0 in my array. And then after that is the second point up here. That's point number 1 and then point number 2. So the thing about when you make your triangle, hey, why does this look like that? Oh, because I have to do one at a time. Add, then triangles. Look, triangles there. Dot add 1 and triangles dot add 2. 1 and 2. Yeah, so this is the first point, the second point. This is the 0 point, 1 point, and 2 point. That's 0, 1, and 2. Makes a triangle. So if I connect the points in a clockwise manner, so clocks go like this way, right, Grace?
Yes.
Did you ever see a clock, or we
I
just
have
use our
seen a
phone?
clock.
Phones don't have clocks, they just have the numbers. But
I
if
mean,
if you ever looked at a real clock, the hands on the clock, they spin around like this.
I hope you've seen a real clock
I've seen a
before.
real clock.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah, I hope they have seen a real clock, right?
yeah, I mean, they're in my
Yeah.
school.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if you don't use, the reason I never use the clocks is because they're never on time because they're always like dying so that hands are going slow.
Where in the school?
Yeah, in the school. And even here at home.
Hmm. All right, so you always connect the points in the triangle in a clockwise motion, and that's the side that gets drawn. All right, we're going to see what happens. So now next after that, we got the vertices and the triangle defined. Now, so we could put Pikachu on our triangle mesh, we have to define the UV. The UV just says for each vertice point where we're going to get a picture, where we're going to get a
Which you
point
already
from the
have it,
picture.
it's right there.
I mean, what I mean is for each vertice where in the picture is like, say here's point zero zero,
Okay.
right? In the triangle that we're
Oh, like
making.
what point of the pic,
What
like
point of the picture,
orientation,
right?
sort of orientation.
Right. What point in the picture is going to use? So I'll say vector 2, and so for point 0, I say let's make it be the bottom corner of this picture.
I'm so tall.
All right, so that's going to be 0, 0, the bottom corner of the picture. Then for the next UV, we're going to say new vector 2.
So
I
what
say for
would
the next
this be
UV, it should
useful
go up to,
for when you're making like a video game?
oh man, um,
Man.
say, like Minecraft, I'm thinking
Oh
about
yeah.
trying to do Minecraft. So what happens is when you dig a hole, all of a sudden the mesh will just make a hole for you. Then if you put a brick there, then the mesh just kind of changes and puts a brick. But you know how each brick in Minecraft looks like different? There's the grass brick and everything like that.
Grass
So
stone.
when the mesh changes shape to put a brick or something like that, I'll have the texture that looks like dirt or the texture that looks like gold. You know what I mean? We're gonna make the new Minecraft.
The
All
new
right,
Minecraft.
so the first point was here at the bottom of the picture, and now this triangle point up here, that should probably be the top of the picture. So that's gonna be 0, comma 1. And if we make a mistake, we could always come back and change these numbers. And when we run it, we'll see if we got everything right.
Yes.
And then over here, new vector. Thanks for helping me, Grace.
You're welcome.
Then the last point, this is 0, 0, 0, 1. This one's going to be 1, 0. So that's 1, comma 0 from the picture. And that's great. So I get the mesh, I make the triangle.
You positioned your photo.
Something has to call these functions though.
Oh.
Yeah, because this just made the arrays, but I never set these values onto my mesh object over here. So let's just make another function here called, it could be private, or maybe it should be public, so I can call it from outside the script, void, and we'll call this one set mesh, because now after we made those
And a lot of clicky.
arrays, a lot of clicky, yeah.
Clicky click. Clickety clack.
Here we will say mesh dot, oh, clear. First we'll clear everything that's there, and then we'll say mesh dot vertices, haha, see the name is just matching the name we made our arrays, will equal our vertices array. I can't spell, and we just have to convert it to a
Don't worry, I
array.
can't either.
You can't spell either?
Can't, not very well.
I know, school's just doing so much for us, isn't
It's
it?
like whenever I write a story, I write stories. I like want to use a fancier word sometimes, and I just like, ugh, I'm so tired of using the same adjectives.
Mm-hmm.
And I like know what word I want to write,
Mm-hmm.
but eventually I kind of just use the source to figure it out.
All right, so just to go over this, first I clear out the mesh, all the data that's in the mesh,
Let's clean it
and
up.
then I set the mesh to the R arrays here that we made. You see, we made these variables, vertices, triangle, UV. So we set the mesh to use R arrays, and then there's a thing like now that we just gave it these new values, some parts of the mesh have to recalculate. So we'll say recalculate normals, and you know what those do? The normals?
It makes things calm down.
Yes. So they're not too excited? No, that's not what it does.
I don't know.
What the normals do is, you see, say if there's a triangle like this, it says which way is up.
Okay.
And you have to calculate the normals so the light works the right way. When
Oh,
light shines on your mesh.
that's important, you guys.
Yeah.
Everybody cares about lighting.
Yep. And then I'm going to do this one, recalculate bounds so that Unity knows how big your mesh is. It knows how big it is, you know. And then this last one, mesh dot, there's only 3 recalculates, tangents.
Recalculation.
What does tangents do? Let me put my mouse on it. But it has something to do with the shaders. If you make shader graphs, that's what the tangents has to do with.
What are shaders?
Oh
Shaded
man,
graphics.
that was another video I did before.
Alright. You guys gotta go see that if you want to know.
Yeah, you gotta go see the other video. Go to omarvision.com to see the other videos, or you know, or look at the YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, isn't this going to YouTube?
Yeah, it's gonna go on YouTube. All right, so let's see. So far I got these functions, but nothing calls these functions because in a script, the first thing that gets called is the start function. So let's add in the start function, private, oopsie,
Um,
private void start. Okay, now in the start function, the first thing we should call is that mesh equals get mesh. Yeah, but just don't worry about the water softener. I'm gonna get the water softener right after we finish.
You can delete this later.
Yeah. So first I get the mesh, then I'm gonna call make triangle. So it gets our arrays all set up. And then after I set up the arrays, then I could just call set mesh to set the mesh. There. I think this is gonna work. Let's see. Let's save it. See, there's a little star right there, Grace. That means I didn't save it yet.
It's a warning.
Yeah, it's a warning because sometimes people will just go right to the program and say run. They're like nothing's happening because they got to save the script first.
Also, you could delete all of that hard typing you did.
hmm
That would be sad.
What is this little message here?
Discovery.
I don't know. I'm closing that thing. All right, so I save my script. I go back here and see this little whirly thing? That means it's Unity's like reading the script and now it's ready. All right, now it's ready and you can see I made the vertices triangles. These are our arrays. They're all empty right now. But when I press play, it should go ahead and make the Are you ready? Everybody cross your fingers. Is it going to work? Press play and boom, something's there. Let's zoom in.
Oh my god.
It's there, Pikachu.
With his face cut in half.
With his face cut in half. So wait, let me just fix the
He's
camera.
brutally injured, guys.
Yeah, he's brutally injured. Let me just fix the camera to look just this way. So Control Shift F after I select the camera, and let me just press play one more time. So there you go. There's Pikachu, right?
And this is what you would see in game. Can run on Pikachu.
Right. That's what you can see. Now this is an actual 3D triangle. So now I could move it around, see, and I could rotate it. See that?
Oh, he's sitting up.
He's sitting up.
Oh, look, the shininess.
And yeah, he shines because we did the normals, so the light works the right way. Yeah, you see that little shine that just happened right there?
Ooh.
Yes, since we did the normals, and the other thing is we could scale. All the controls should work. You can make it bigger or smaller. Look, I even made it go backwards. Now here's the thing. Remember I said we had to connect the points in a clockwise motion? So let me just put the rotation on. That means one side is rendered. But if I look at the other side, whoop, it's invisible.
How would you make it visible?
Why is the other side invisible?
Because you only made it have a face on one side.
Yeah, I only made it have a face on one side. And usually when you have a mesh, it's not just like a triangle. Usually meshes are, let's see if I could, yeah, they're like a whole cube. So let me see, if I put in a cube, you see how the cube has, I just put them right on top of Pikachu. Move it. You see how the cube has all these sides and you can't see inside the cube, so it's only drawing the outsides. And the insides, the computer says, why am I going to draw the insides for? You can't even see it. All right, let me go inside the cube. So let me click on the cube, zoom in, and boop. See on the inside, say I'm inside the cube here, I can't see anything
You
because,
can tell that you are
right, it just draws the cube and you can't see inside it. That's how the computer saves time. It's like,
That's a good idea.
yeah, because the computer's trying to go as fast as it could, so it's not going to waste time drawing things that are inside. So that's
You want to
why,
make sure people don't fall through your floors.
yeah, and you know what that trick is called where the computer doesn't draw the inside of stuff? It's called backface culling.
Backface culling.
Yeah, backface culling. So say we wanted our Pikachu to draw on the other side instead of this side, all we have to do is, well, let me just stop the code. All we have to do in the script to make it draw on the other side is change the order of the triangle. See how this goes 0, 1, 2? We would just go 2, 1, 0, and now it's going to draw it on the other side.
So
Press
it will
save.
look like it doesn't exist until you rotate it.
Right.
And it's suddenly
So now look, I'm going to
existing.
press play, and there it is, but it's drawing the back of it, so I can't even see it, right?
Rotate it.
Well, let me rotate it, and guess what? That's because it
Reveal.
drew it on the other side. So
Maybe
that's
that's how you make
one.
those pop up in your scary games.
So now let me put this. Now I'm going to show you the trick with the UV. Remember, you see how the UV, how he's cut in half?
Mm.
Well, we only have 3 points, and a picture has 4 points.
Yes.
So
So if you made another
no matter what, I'm never going to be able to draw the whole picture, but I could change what draws. So I said for the first point is 0, 0. I could say now for the second point, it's this corner. So this corner is 1, 1. And now let's see how that looks with the second corner being 1, 1. Let me press play. Let's see what happens. And you see, now it drew this foot right there, and then it went all the way over trying to draw the ear and the other foot. So
it has no ears, but it has a tail this time.
yeah, it's because it couldn't do it. It's like the triangle's shaped like this. If this point maybe went to the middle, maybe it could draw the ears. Let's see that. If that point went to the middle. So these are our points. How do I move that top point to the middle? Let's see. The top point is, this is 0, 0. This is 0, 1. How about 0.5 and 1?
Yeah.
0.5 and 1.
That's what I offered.
That's what you were saying, right? You're saying do 0.5 and 1. So let's do 0.5 and 1. Let me do 0.5, and it's a squiggly red underline. That's because the code doesn't understand that. I have to put an F. Because no, this is the thing that says where the points are. This is the thing that says what a triangle is, and this is the thing that says where to get your picture from. So I only have to change this one. I don't have to change that one.
Okay.
So now let's save it, and now let's see what happens.
I think you pressed copy, not save.
I did?
Yeah, you pressed the 2 thing.
Oh no.
See, it still looks the same.
Yeah, it still kind of looks the same.
It.
How about if I say the picture, instead of getting it at the corner, it gets it there? That's what maybe you meant, right?
You collected. You clicked that instead of that one, so I thought you missed.
Yeah, this one is save the file I'm looking at, and this one is save all the files.
Save all the files.
Yeah, so sometimes I press save all just to make sure everything gets saved. I wonder what happens now if my point comes from, now I gotta think, this is 0, 0, this is 1, 0. Yeah, if my second point comes from 0.5, then how about that, Grace?
0.5.
Yeah, like the way we did here is halfway across, and this one's halfway across. So now I press play.
Hey, Pikachu.
Pikachu, man. Let's see what happens. Ah, there. Now it gets like the middle of his head. You see that?
You can see his face. He still has no ears. What do you think he looks like without ears?
This is how he looks without ears.
What do you think?
Oh, look, I can see the shine. Come on. What?
You gotta know who drew him.
Anyway, guys, that's this tutorial. And this is a tutorial with Omar Vision and Grace. Thanks, Grace.
You're welcome. Have a nice day, everybody.
Yeah, you guys have a nice day. Bye.